Shall I begin or to start
Just give
with?
me a second, right? So, friends, good evening. Welcome to what we call the HIGMID talk of Youth Ideathon 2024. I'll be glad if you can switch on your cameras. And today we have an outstanding entrepreneur, Sohan Sahu, who, uh, who has illustrious background, and he's been doing some wonderful stuff. An alumni of IIT Kharagpur, and and also featured in Shark Tank, right? So we really want to hear his story, what he has done. The theme is how I got my idea. HIGMID stands for how I got my idea. And at Youth Hackathon, we are going to have this. This is the first talk of this season. So, Sohan, glad to have you here, and we really want to hear from you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for the nice introduction. Yeah. Before I begin, I would like to understand a little bit background about the students who are participating here.
Yeah.
They are basically from which standards?
So the students are right from class 4 to class 12. The youth hackathon is conducted in two categories. One is junior and other is senior. So we have a large bandwidth, but most students should typically be okay. Boys and girls, can you write down the class in which you study in the chat box? If you can write down, it would be very helpful for Sohan sir to understand. Can you all write down your class in which you study? Right? So we are getting 9th, 10th,
Yeah.
11th, right? 12th. Okay. So that's
Yeah,
the
mostly from 9th to 11th. I see 9
9th,
to 12th. Yeah.
9 to 12th. Yes. Okay.
Okay,
We
great.
have Angad from class 6 also. Great to have you, Angad.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what I do is I'll start with my background, personal background, and then we'll go into the startup. And let's have this as an interactive session. So I'll be more happy when students are asking questions. Okay,
Absolutely.
uh, because
Just as a prompt to everyone, if you have any question, boys and girls who are listening, can you type down the question or raise your hand? And then between Sohan sir and myself, we'll come back to you and allow you to unmute and then ask your question.
yeah,
Okay,
thanks.
Sohan, over to you.
Yeah, name you all know, right? My name is Sohan Sahu. I come from a very tiny village in the state of Chhattisgarh. I did my schooling from my village until class ninth, and then I moved to a district city called Bilaspur in the state of Chhattisgarh. From there, I completed until 12th, and then I prepared for engineering. So somehow, so my 11th, during my academic, so I was not so great. I was kind of average, you can say. In fact, my 12th was very poor, but somehow I tried very hard and I got into engineering. And then, during engineering, also I performed average. And fortunately, we had one coach there in our college who used to guide for preparing for the gate exam. So that's how we were lucky enough to clear that. And so that's how the IT thing happened. So overall, during my whole academics, I say I was an average performer, but one thing which I can relate with my this current journey is I was always looking to learn new things, and in fact, that started right from my childhood. So I was not just limited to studying or reading the textbooks. So that time, even availability of the study material, non-academics was very limited. So somehow I managed to get some novels. So that is how I started. Just give me a second. Yeah. Hope I'm audible. Sure. So I loved reading, and that is one piece of advice I would like to give to all the students. It's not just the textbook which you have to read and study. Think beyond that. So that gives you opportunity to learn various things. So I started with just a commercial novel. Started reading. Like I still remember Chandrakanta was the novel which many of you might have heard. So there was a TV show also, a TV serial uh, in 90s, I suppose. So it was very interesting novel. So that's how. So you have to first create interest in reading.
Yeah, yeah. Sohan, I absolutely remember all about Tillysons and everything from
Right.
Chandrakanta Santiti.
Right. So, if you want to venture into the startup field or you want to become entrepreneur, that is one of the key, I'll say, uh, priorities you have to set. Right? You should start a habit of reading more and more. So that gives you a broader perspective. You get to understand various aspects, right, of life, everything. So, and then it should not be just any particular topic. You build a habit of reading anything. It can be fiction, it can be non-fiction, anything. And it's also good to read newspaper. And as early you can start in your life, so you will be in advantage. So after completing my engineering, so basically I'm a mechanical engineer by training, and I have a specialization in manufacturing process. And then I also got into some government jobs. So initially, I was not right from the starting. I was of the entrepreneurial mindset, I can say. So I like an ordinary student, right? So we think as our peers think. So when I went to IIT, I had some friends who were preparing for government job. So I also thought that let's go into the government job. Okay. And fortunately I cracked that also. But then I was never satisfied with a routine thing. So that never made me happy. So though the earning was good, the package was good, but I was not satisfied with the job. So that is another important thing which you need to realize. So whether so that will decide actually whether, so what's your priority, whether earning is a priority or what satisfies you. If someone can get satisfied by just earning more money, or someone else will just get satisfied by becoming famous. So you have to see yourself, right? You have to understand yourself. Then only you can decide your right path, right? And if you do the things which you actually want to do, then you will be happy. Otherwise, then we hear that people with very high package, they are in depression, they are so much stressed and whatnot, right? So it's very, very important that you select your journey or your career the way you want. For that, it is very, very important that we understand ourselves, right? So I got into the government job, and I then I left that and decided to join private firm. So fortunately, whenever I wanted to change or I wanted to do the things I wanted to do, I was lucky for getting that. So I got a job into a private company. So there, so that actually it was more challenging than the government job. So I liked that. But again, there I was not. satisfied or not happy doing one particular thing. So I worked in one function, then when I I I realized that the learning had stopped, then I switched to some other function. So that's how. So I always kept learning new things, and I always took new challenges. So that is how. So the risk taking and venturing into new field. So that's very very important when we talk about startups. So I was working into an automotive company initially, and then I switched to totally a different field. I went into oil and gas, but one thing was common in all that was I was into manufacturing. So I come from a strong manufacturing experience, every aspect of manufacturing, right from the production, regulatory, vendor development, everything. So, with that experience, venturing into a startup was very easy for me. But that doesn't mean that startup can only be done by the experienced people. Okay. So what is important for a startup is we let's keep our eyes and ears open for the problems or environment. So first, when we talk about startup, we have to see where is the problem which people are not solving or only few people are working into that. So that is how an idea for startup will come. So let's understand what is startup. Okay? So when we say startup, so I will say startup is a business only, but doing some new things, some disruption, some innovation, some big thing. That's what we can define a startup. So how to start a startup, right? So how to decide whether it's a startup, whether it's a doable business or not. So first step in that is identify a problem. It can be anything, right? So, for example, the problem which I can relate with school is like I've seen even my daughter. So she carries a very heavy bag when she goes to school. So there can be some design by which we can reduce the weight of the bag. That can be one idea. Okay. So that is how we have to think. Where is the problem and what can be the solution? And once we identify what's the problem, how it can be solved, then we have to think about the business, how it can be manufactured, whether there is anyone to stop you, like regulatory. So that depends what product, what services you are thinking of or trying to solve. So that so you have to think whether there is any regulatory, and then we talk about how to manufacture, at what cost we will manufacture, from where we get it manufactured, then logistics, so many things. And then the most important thing, how you sell it, how you market it. So this is how I think about a startup.
Sohan, while you were speaking, we have got two or three nice questions. Can I
Sure.
request Aditi, Karthik, can you unmute yourself and switch on your camera and ask question?
Hi, sir. Thank you. Yes, I'm Aditi Karthik. I have a question about if I have an idea, a business idea, how do I put that into reality? Like, how
Which
do I
school do you
actually
study,
start
Aditi?
the startup?
Where are you
And
from,
how
Aditi? Which school do
I'm
you?
from Chennai, Tamil Nadu. I'm from BVM Global.
Got it. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, if I have an idea, how do I start it in real life? Whom should I approach to for the legal procedures and the regulations? And can you explain about that?
Sure. Thanks, Aditi. So when we have idea, so as I said, what problem we are solving. That is how. So we have to first ourselves. We have to do that exercise whether that idea can become a business or not. So either you can analyze or you can research on that by yourself, or you can get help from some mentors, okay, who can help you there. Because you might have idea, but you may not actually go to the step where you can say that this can become a business. Okay, so that depends. So if you can analyze that and conclude that this can become a business, so do it yourself, or you find out some mentors who can help you there. So it can be either your parents or your teacher or anyone. Okay, so first we have to conclude that yes, this can become a business. Okay, so there, how to evaluate? If we have to evaluate, how to do that? Okay, so problem solving. Okay, that is important. So what problem we are solving, we can analyze that, right? So for example, I mentioned a case of a school bag, right? So
Yeah.
whether that is actually a problem or not, I think that there is a problem, but let's go and understand whether ask the student, for example, who is facing the problem, whether that overweight or heavy weight is actually a problem or not. Okay, so first validate the problem. So there is one terminology called perceived problem, customer perceived problem. I think there is a problem, but whether the customer thinks there is a problem or not, that we have to validate. And that we can validate by approaching the target or target customer. For example, the idea what you have. So that may relate to someone, right? Some customer. So you have to find out who is the customer, whose problem you are solving. So once you validate the problem, then you go to the solution. What solution you have, and then you you discuss that again whether this solution will work or not. So either you do some research, or you discuss among friends or like-minded people, or you discuss with parents or anyone who can help you and give opinion about that.
So, Sohan, can I come in?
Yeah, sure.
So, in the context of Subhag, can you elaborate Aditi's question?
Sure.
Aditi, is
Yeah,
it fair?
definitely. Yeah. So, this Subhag HealthTech was started by uh, Vikram and me. So, Vikram and me, we were batchmates during graduation as well as PG. So, when Vikram and his wife, they were struggling to conceive. Okay. So, they, in fact, you might not be aware about the terminology, okay, of infertility treatment, but test tube baby, you might know. And day before yesterday, there was a World IVF Day. So any of you might have heard about that. Okay, so they went through two failed IVF cycles, and later they conceived naturally. So when they went through that journey, they realized that there are some major problems in the field of infertility treatment, and identified those major problems. Like one was awareness. People don't know if they are not having a baby, they don't know what could be the right treatment or right solution. So as I said, Vikram, who is supposed to be, he is graduated from IIT, so we can think, right, he's a well educated person, but still he went through failed IVF cycles. So there is a major problem. So IVF was not the solution. So had he realized that time, he would have not gone for IVF, right? So awareness was a problem, and then availability. When we did a market research, right, for that problem. So we realized that there was a problem, but then what are the factors related to that? Infertility services was a problem, a high level problem statement, but then what are the factors associated with that? So awareness was the problem, availability of infertility treatment services was a problem, and then affordability was the problem. So
Interesting.
these problems we identified by doing market research, by talking to the users or the people involved in the whole process. Like when I talk about the infertility treatment, the gynecologist, those they are the people who are involved. Okay, the basically the doctors, okay, the specialist doctors, the hospitals, the customers. So we interacted with them, and then we concluded on the problem statement, and then we
And then
started
you
thinking
thought that
about,
it is worth solving, there's an opportunity. It's good to solve. This is what you thought?
yes. So
Okay.
we concluded that yes, this is a problem which should be solved. Okay, it's a good problem to solve, and
And what
then
does
we,
it make a good problem to solve? It's the number of people affected or the problem which has not been solved. How do you come to that conclusion?
yeah. So there can be many angles to that. Okay, one simple thing can be, if more people, like a number of people are facing that problem, that can be one criteria. Okay, or from business perspective, if I see, if by solving that problem I can make a big business, I can earn money, a good amount of money, that can be another angle. Okay,
Yeah.
or it can be a very critical problem faced by some person, some people, that can be another criteria. So all that we conclude by discussing with like-minded people or the people involved in that particular field.
Okay. So
Okay,
Sohan, can I ask you to pause, and Sneha Prakash,
sure.
asking you to unmute Sneha Prakash. Just give me Sneha. Sneha Prakash, can you switch on your camera?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And yeah, let me, yeah. Can you ask your question?
Yes, sir. I am Sneha Prakash of Kendra Vidyalaya Pallipuram from Kerala. So my question was that if we have already prepared the project, first of all, we have I have done all of the surveys and have identified the problem, and I have everyone the objective about my project. Then after that, what is the next step we have to actually do?
Okay.
Okay. So, okay. So as I understood, so you have identified the idea, the problem,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
And you have some solution also.
Yes, sir.
But you mentioned that that was not accepted by people.
No, sir. I have said it is accepted by all of the people. I have done
Okay, okay,
surveys for
okay.
People like that
then,
solution. Is that
Yeah.
what you're
So
saying?
that's good. So so you have already cleared that stage, right? So you have a problem. You identified a problem. You have validated the solution. Now you have to think about how this can become a business. Okay, so you can unmute yourself. So how to validate that? So next step will be making a prototype. So you are talking about some service or product.
I am talking about one product.
Product. Okay. So when we talk about product, so we have to think how, whether we can make a prototype. Okay. So once the next step will be making a prototype,
Yes, sir.
right? So once you make prototype, you can get user feedback
Yes.
after that, and then before going into that, we can work on the manufacturing side. Okay, how this will be manufactured, where it will be manufactured, what quantity, what will be the costing overall, like the manufacturing cost, and then the selling price. So this is how you evaluate, and what is the number of estimated number of customers you see. Okay, so based on product, you have to see the market. What is the market size?
So Sneha, question to you is, do you know how to prototype your product?
Yes, sir. I have already done the prototype and showed to many places.
Fantastic. So now what Sohan sir is saying, if you have done the prototype and you have taken to users and taken the feedback, maybe some people would be saying that do small tweaks, or if people are happy, then what Sohan sir is saying, then now you can go into some sort of, you can start planning to go into some sort of production phase. Before you get into production phase, think of at what price you're going to sell, right?
Yes.
Because if you price it too high, then very few people can buy. If you price it too low, then you will not make enough money. So you have to get the right price, right? And then hit the market. Am I right, Sohan? Is that what you said?
Right. And so price discovery is very, very important. Okay. So there can be many angles. So as sir said, you have to have a right price. Okay. And just one point where I deviate is the low price is not always good. Okay. So you have to decide what product you are thinking about, how you want to put that into the market. Okay. Like you can take an example of Tata Nano car. Many of you might know about Tata Nano car. Okay. So though it was very low priced, but then it came as a poor people's car. But why we buy car as a status, right? We don't buy as a safety, as a solution of a safety, road safety. We buy it as a status. So though it was low priced, but the way it came into the market, it did not succeed. So there are many angles to that. So you have price, you have to discover the price and how you want to put the product in the market, whether it's a premium product or it's a economy product. All that you have to
That
understand.
decisions you have to
Yes.
take.
Yes.
But Push Daya, where are you coming from? And can you ask your first question to sir?
Sir, I'm coming from Hyderabad.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is, sir, how did you arrange the capital to start your business? Did you take any debts? Are debts good to take?
How did you arrange capital to start your business? Did you take any loan, any debt, and is debt good?
Sure. Okay. So everything, like even we use any instrument, okay, whether it's equity or debt, everything has its pros and cons. Okay. So if I talk about giving equity, so you are actually losing your ownership there, but then you don't have to pay it back. Maybe later anyway, we are paying it back in other terms, but your money is not paid that time, because when you are starting off, then you need money to manage this the operation, right? Basically the everything. So when we are taking debt loan, basically, so we have to pay it back. So there is a burden, right? So we have to plan for that. At the same time, if we have the equity, then we don't have to think about that. So you have to see. But yeah, it should be a mix, not just you should not put everything into equity or debt. So you have to have a balance. So, but there are many options, like you can go for equity, you can go for debt, or you can look for grants are the best thing, I will say. So there are different government grants. So we should try for that first. So it's not, so grants are available for different fields, or I'll say for all these startups, there are different grants. So first we have to try for grants, and by going through the grant process, okay, the application process and all, so your presentation or your everything, like your business, your concept, everything gets structured. When you are not going through that process, you are just managing with equity or debt, so people don't go into the more details. So it's a good idea that we go for grants. Okay. So first try grants, though it's a difficult process, but grants are good things. If you are not getting equity, for example, then you can go for debt, but getting debt at the start is difficult. Okay. So it should be like this. First, you should try for equity. You approach the angel investors, individual investors. Okay. so this is how business starts. So if I talk about our business, when we just had concept on the PowerPoint, so we approached the angels, we presented it to few, and then luckily we got the funding very soon. Okay, so you present your idea, you get funding in terms of equity first, so that you don't have a burden of paying back immediately. Okay, then if you have bandwidth, you have time, you if you can manage time, then you try for grant, and then if you are not able to manage with all that, then maybe uh, debt is a very quick thing. But again, getting debt is not easy. Okay, especially when we are in the early stage. So
Yeah,
debt is not an option.
in early stage, it's extremely hard to get debt. That's not advisable. Either you have to put in your money or get angels on board. This is what
Right.
sir is saying. But Sanjana, you want to ask your question? Can you unmute?
So hi, I'm Sanjana and I'm from Chennai, studying at BVM Global Berlin Hillside. So you're a Shark Tank participant, right? So you would have come across a lot of companies. So in your opinion, which market do you think has a significant potential for growth in the future, and which market do you think is already saturated or going to be saturated soon?
Okay, so difficult question to answer. Okay, so see, the trend what we see is like very obvious, right? We talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, all those things. So, but here, so definitely this is a growing field, okay, where we see a lot of potential. But here, the number of players will be less, right? And you need a very either very disruptive idea, okay, or you are a big company. So then you have to focus that. What we as a student or as a new entrepreneur, what we have to focus is people's problem. And there we identify problem, solution, and business. Healthcare is another field, okay. So that definitely, so that we it's a evergreen field, you can say, where you will always find some or other, like new devices will come, new solutions will come. So healthcare is one field where we can definitely venture. Okay. Uh, First, I mentioned the artificial intelligence and those stuff. Okay, and saturation. We don't have to think about that saturation. Okay, so we have to focus about the problem. Okay, observe where is the problem, and I don't see as such any area where we think that okay, we don't have to do anything. Even if we talk about schooling, okay, school education, there are many new things coming up. So always there is no saturation as such anywhere.
Okay. So,
Yes, sir.
friends, can I put all of you on pause? And I have two questions from Sohan sir to ask. And these two questions, I think all of you will be able to relate. He was telling his very compelling story of how they were building Subhag and they found this whole stuff. So, Soham, one part of you said three A's: one, lack of awareness, availability, lack of availability, and affordability. And that was the moment of truth when you said, okay, you should be building Subhag.
Right.
So, how easy or difficult was it? One was the awareness problem, but the second part was also to build some sort of a product that you guys made. How easy or difficult was it to make a product? Being in, where were you based? You were in Raipur only when you were making this?
No, so I was operating from Pune, and our team was sitting in Bangalore, and Vikram he still operates from Germany, Bremen. So for many companies, remote working is a new concept, but
Yeah,
we started from the 2017 itself.
got it.
So it was never easy, okay, because the topic itself is a taboo topic. Okay,
Yeah, yes.
people don't talk about the problem, so the problem starts right from there. For many other ideas, it can be a very fancy problem.
Yeah. It's hard
For
because
us,
getting them people to speak is the hardest challenge in this case.
right.
Yeah.
And even today, like getting endorsement from the customers, though they are getting success through our products, but getting endorsement is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
They don't come up actually.
Yeah.
First they will. So right from the ideation stage until now, getting the customer endorsement.
Someone has put
I think,
whiteboard.
yeah, someone hit the share.
Okay, folks,
Yes.
if you can avoid, it will be better. Yeah.
So it was always very, very difficult. Okay. And so the product or the solution which we came up with, that was kind of a competition for the doctors. So we have to get endorsement first. How, if I talk about particularly our business, we thought of making a product which can be directly used by the customer. But in healthcare field, any product will be directly used by customer. It's a very difficult thing. Okay, so how we get trust? Someone has, if doctor says something that you eat this medicine or you try this, then it's very, very easy. But if someone who is not doctor or some company comes and says that okay, you use this product to the end user, so it's very, very difficult. Okay, so we wanted to get feedback from the doctors for the product which is a competition to the doctor. So that was another challenge. So, but in reality, so prima facie, it looks like it's a competition for them, but then in reality, it's not actually. So you have to understand the whole thing. You have to explain it in the right manner. Okay. So that's very, very important. The same thing, if not explained in a proper way, people will conceive it in a different way, perceive it in a different way. Okay. So explaining your problem or your solution in a right way, that is very, very important. So I cannot go to the customer, right? Finding a customer, especially for this taboo topic, is very, very difficult. So we had to rely on the doctor's feedback, which looks like it's a competition. So again, there was a challenge. And then here the healthcare field or the services as well as the devices are very, very much regulated. In the consumer goods segment, you can make some product directly go to the market. If it is a food category, then there is a FSSI and then FDA may come into picture for very limited scope. But some other products, yeah, you can make product, yeah, and you can directly go into the market. But when we talk about healthcare,
I have a related question. I'm sorry, I'm coming in. And related question is you are not a doctor. You were a chemical engineer, and then you said mechanical engineer, and then you said, "Oh, listen, we have to solve this problem of infertility." Weren't you finding it daunting that absence of medical degree or absence of this knowledge is going to be, was it in some sort of a roadblock for you?
Definitely, that was very, very challenging actually. So what is important here is we understand the subject in deep or in depth. Okay, so that's how you get confidence. For example, we had to understand the reproductive system, the anatomy, whatnot. So we studied a lot of research papers, and now I can say that I can talk to any gynecologist.
Got it. So you build knowledge, and
Build knowledge. Yes.
initially it might be some sort of a challenge that you don't have a medical degree or you're not coming from that. But if you are persistent, you are able to do it, right? Because
Yes.
building a biotech or a health tech or medical product can be challenging. That's what you were saying.
Right.
How hard was it to build the product? How did you make the product? Because it must be very sophisticated thing.
Right. So it was not a direct, it's not a direct end product we get. Okay. So we start with some idea, we make prototype, or even sometimes we have to just design on paper. So there will be many iterations. Just by drawing on paper, you can see that whether that is going to work or not. So there will be many iterations on the paper itself. Okay. Then we go to the designing part, like computer aided design. So there you can visualize in a better way. And then you start making prototype. Okay. Just by getting the physical prototype, you can again evaluate whether that's going to work or not. So this is how it works. So on paper, then on computer, then you make prototype, then you have a different iterations of the prototype, then you go to the customer and get feedback.
How much time did it take for you to make the product?
So for us, it took almost 3 years. So though, so we had a upper edge, I can say, because Vikram comes from design background and I come from manufacturing background. So for us, it was a bit easier because we knew that yes, now this is the idea, we can go for prototype. There are different, these are the methods to make prototype. This is how we can go for manufacturing. This is how we can. So things were a bit easier. So one thing to note here is, if we are going into that area like product manufacturing, and if you are thinking to start early in your career, a startup, then you might not understand the various aspects of manufacturing. So better you connect with someone who already had a background about that. Okay. That way you will, so timing is very, very important, right? So it's not just about launch of product. As you delay, you are burning money actually. So you have to try to launch the product as soon as possible.
Right.
So there it is very, very important that you either have a good knowledge about all the aspects of business, or you team up. Okay, you get
so if you can't
advise,
find the person who can do it for you, but you still control the rights and you can still have the commercial rights and all that, right? So very important. There are questions about your Shark Tank experience.
Sure.
How was it? How did it go? What did you like? What was the thrill? Tell us.
Sure. Okay. So, so we actually came to know from this season 1 itself. Though before that, when it came to India, so I was not aware about the Shark Tank thing. So somehow through one of our connections, we got to know that yes, now Shark Tank is being launched in India. So we applied for that, and then we went for the audition in season 1 itself. So totally new thing. It was a very exciting experience. So in the audition, the sharks, the judges will not be there. So there will be evaluator actually. So who will be evaluating your business. So, but it's the same presentation which you give in front of the actual judges, the sharks.
Yeah.
So first, when we think about Shark Tank, we have to prepare for audition. And audition is basically it's your pitch, okay, your story.
Yeah.
So you have to have a good story, because ultimately when we talk about Shark Tank, For TV channel, it's just an entertainment program.
Right.
Okay. So you don't have to just present your business. You have to present your story. So before that, we were presenting like a business to all our interested parties, like the investors.
But storytelling is important.
Storytelling is very, very important. So
Okay.
when we talk about storytelling, so again, the same thing: problem, solution, and how you are making business. You have to tell in a story form,
Right. Right.
and it should be an interesting story.
Right. No, so I think it's a great lesson, right, for everyone that storytelling, when entrepreneurship is not just making business, not just having idea or innovation or making product or anything. It's also storytelling and managing people and managing money and everything, right? I
Right.
have Arpit and Anvesha, if you can both switch on your cameras and unmute. Let me, yeah. So Arpit Agarwal, first, can you ask your question?
Sir, I want to know that
Which
I
school
have
are you
idea.
from?
I have tried to
Arpit,
means.
किस school से हो तुम? Which
Okay,
school are
sorry,
you
sir.
from?
I am Arpita Agrawal from St. Paul School, Vadamat Nagar,
Which class?
10th.
Okay, ask your question.
Sir, can I ask in Hindi?
Yes,
Sure.
मतलब
yes.
सर
हाँ,
हाँ, ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम, पूछो.
सर मेरे पास अपना आइडिया है, मैंने उसे यूज करने की भी कोशिश की, लेकिन मैंने एडवर्टीजमेंट पूरी सोल्यूशन सब कुछ रखा, बट ड्यू टू माय आइडिया इज लिटिल cheaper than the market original solution, artificial solution. They are trying to means exclude, मतलब मेरे प्रोडक्ट को लाइक मार्केट से बाहर भगाना चाहते हैं. And in that case, it is my original products and they are doing the artificial work. So how to promote that?
ओके. अगर आपका कुछ अलग आइडिया है, ओके, यूनिक आइडिया है, जो मुझे समझ में आया उसके हिसाब से कि मार्केट में ऑलरेडी कंपटीशन है, आपने कुछ ऐसा आइडिया या कुछ ऐसा प्रोडक्ट बनाया है जो कंपटीशन से सस्ता है, राइट?
कंपटीशन सस्ता है और ऑर्गेनिक है, मतलब नेचुरल है एक तरीके से.
हाँ, नेचुरल है, बट आपका कंपटीशन आपको वहां पे आने नहीं देना चाहता. ओके. तो देखो, ये चैलेंज तो रहता है. ओके. एक चीज आपको देखना चाहिए कि ये कुछ यूनिक है क्या. ओके. तो पहले तो हमें अपने प्रोटेक्शन के बारे में सोचना है. ओके. जैसे कि पेटेंट्स, ट्रेडमार्क्स, इसके बारे में सोच सकते हैं. ओके. जस्ट टू प्रोटेक्ट. प्रो अपोज करने वाले रहेंगे. ओके. कंपटीशन आप, लेकिन फिर आपको, अगर आप अकेले नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, तो यहाँ पे एक कनेक्शन, एक टीम बिल्डिंग, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है. ओके. बिजनेस अकेले कोई नहीं कर सकता, राइट? तो आपको जो भी स्ट्रॉन्ग लोग हैं उस फील्ड में, ओके, या तो आप उनके साथ कनेक्शन, हर कोई एक ही पर्सन के साथ नहीं खड़ा रहता, राइट? जैसे कोई कोई आपका कॉम्पिटिटर दिख रहा है, तो उस कॉम्पिटिटर के साथ पूरी इंडस्ट्री नहीं है, राइट? तो उसमें बहुत से लोग होंगे जो आपको सपोर्ट भी करेंगे. तो आपको ढूंढना है कि वो सपोर्ट करने वाले लोग कहाँ पे हैं. ओके. चैलेंजेस आएंगे, पर इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो खत्म हो गया वहीं पे, वैसा नहीं है. तो आपको उसके सामने खड़ा होना है स्ट्रांगली. खड़े कैसे होंगे? जब आपके साथ और भी लोग आएंगे, राइट? और कुछ यूनिक आइडिया है, तो क्योंकि हो सकता है कि ये जो अभी अपोज कर रहा है वो खुद उसी आइडिया पे प्रोडक्ट लेकर आ जाए, ऐसा भी हो सकता है. तो आपको अपने आप को लीगली प्रोटेक्ट भी करना है. तो हमें देखना है कि उसका ट्रेडमार्क हो सकता है क्या, उसका पेटेंट हो सकता है क्या, राइट? तो हमें उस पर जाना है, और साथ ही हमें अपना मसल बिल्ड करना है.
वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग सोहन. देखो अर्पित, कंपटीशन तो रहेगा और लड़ना पड़ेगा, राइट? बट अनिवेशा फ्रॉम सनबीम स्कूल माओ, कैन यू आस्क योर क्वेश्चन?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Anivesha and I'm from Sunbeam Mau and my class is class 7th. So my question is like, if you are taking one survey for your product and your survey answer is like 50% yes and 50% no, and you think that it might be helpful for people, but 50% chances, like there are no and 50% are yes. So what we have to do in that condition?
First thing, you have to be convinced, okay, yourself first, that the problem which I have selected is a meaningful problem. Okay. So survey is again, so you cannot 100% rely on survey. And if you are committed, if you think that yes, you are solving some unique problem, some meaningful problem, then
You have gone on mute, Sohan. Can you unmute?
sure. Yeah. Sorry. So you have already decided that yes, this is the problem which I am going to solve. Earlier I mentioned that there is no saturation. Okay. So you can still build business on that. So you don't bother much about the problem, and 50% is actually a very good support. So don't think about other 50%. You see that yes, 50% of the people think that there is a problem. If on the other hand, if you see just okay, so you have taken some problem which only just few people, maybe 5-10% people think that there is a problem, then you are not solving the right problem. 50% is a very, very, very big support, actually.
Okay. And Anivesha, I hope that answers your question. Sohan, we have 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, if you have any, maybe if I want you to say 3 things that you want youngsters like these, what you have interacted, right? If they have to come up with good ideas, what are the 3 mantras?
Sure. So select the right problem and discuss with people, okay, the stakeholders. That is how you validate the problem, and then you think about how you are going to make money. So these 3 things are important.
Fantastic. I think this is awesome. Select the right problem, validate, and then think how you're going to make money. That's the art of, shall I say, doing well in youth ideathon, also students, right? Sohan, any last word? Because then I'll make some announcement. At
Yeah,
6
sure.
o'clock, we have
Yeah.
another session.
Always have a habit of asking questions relevant. So it can be anything, okay? So I will not just say that relevant questions, because finding relevant question is again okay. So always be open to learn, ask questions. That is how you identify the problem. Okay. So asking questions, very, very important.
So curiosity matters, folks, and one of the hallmarks of curiosity is to keep asking questions. Read. That's how Sohan sir started. Read as many things as possible, not necessarily the course books, but also the newspapers and novels and stories and all those sort of stuff. Shark Tank. You can reach Shark Tank, but the success is the crux of success is to you have to be a great storyteller, right? But a few important things that Sohan sir said right now, if you all noticed, was think of a problem to solve, and if you get these signals through surveys on Nivesha, even 50% is a great number, right? And which means that there's a decent market, a lot of people are affected. Then start validating it. Once you have validated, then start making the prototype and slowly start converting into a business. So making a prototype is different from thinking about converting into a business. Those were the issues that Sohan sir talked about. We can go on and on, but Sohan, very nice, fantastic that in a very lucid manner you spoke. Before we close, boys and girls, can we give a huge round of applause? I have one announcement to make, but first, can you all unmute yourself? You have the powers to unmute yourself. Can you all unmute yourself? Fantastic. And can we give a round of applause to Sohan sir for the wonderful session? Can we all?
Thank you so much.
Right. Okay.
And sir, you can share my number if any student wants any help, guidance in startup or in any advice. I'll be more than happy for that.
Fantastic. We'll invite you, Sohan, again after 16th of August when we are at top 1500 stage to guide
Sure.
top 1500 teams, right?
Sure.
But boys and girls, 6 o'clock, we have another very famous person joining. And I hope you have registered and signed up for the link. So you have about 30 minutes of break time. You can recharge yourself and join for that exciting session. His name is Mr. CP Gurnani. He was the CEO of Tech Mahindra. That Tech Mahindra is India's one of the largest IT companies. He's going to be talking to you. Okay. But Sohan, lovely speaking with you. You did the inaugural talk of this session.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Lovely speaking.
Thank you, students. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Bye.